Arrested for a DUI? Find yourself struggling to understand, hey, what's going on? One of the number one questions we get here at our firm is, hey, there was an officer who witnessed this. Why wouldn't I just plead guilty right away? Or even worse, do I even need an attorney to help me with this DUI? Here in Indiana, you absolutely need an attorney to help you with your DUI. DUIs are very intricate. There's a lot of things that go into it. Sure, yeah, you might have an officer witness who saw you drive or violate numerous traffic infractions or traffic laws. That is, one of the difficulties with the DUI, but more importantly, everything that the officer does from when he pulls you over to the time the case can actually get concluded, all needs to be scrutinized. Was the investigation done correctly? More importantly, the breath test or the blood test, were those done correctly? There's a lot that goes into a DUI arrest and what can be investigated at the time the officer pulls you over until the time gets resolved. The number one question that we get is, why not just plead guilty right away? Well, if you plead guilty right away, you're making the job for the state significantly easier. Basically, waving a white flag saying, hey, I give up. Officer saw me do it. I understand. Maybe I did something wrong. I get it. But the problem is, you're not allowing yourself the opportunity, more likely the attorney, the opportunity to investigate, did the officer do this correctly? One of the things I love about my job is I get to question these officers. Make sure, hey, did you do the field sobriety test right? Hey, did you do the blood test right? Hey, did you do the breath test correctly? There's a lot of things that go into investigating a DUI just before you can even plead guilty. So pleading guilty the first day or the first time you're in court is a terrible idea. Not to mention what could happen to your driver's license. DUIs in Indiana oftentimes, almost always, come with some sort of license suspension. Are you prepared to not drive for a few months, a year, longer? So there's a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration. I'm not going to go to jail. Well, you're not going to go to jail in most instances for a first-time DUI. Sure, there are some counties that would require jail time or that ask for jail time for a first-time DUI, but as a whole, most of the counties in the state of Indiana are not going to require some sort of jail time for a first DUI other than the initial arrest. Now, if you have multiple DUIs in your past, for example, if this is your second DUI, it doesn't matter if your first DUI is a million years ago, if this is your second DUI, you have to do, by statute, a minimum of 5 actual days in jail. If it's your third, fourth, fifth, and so on DUI, you have to do a minimum of 10 actual days in jail. So, trying to wrap up a DUI case very early on could come with some extremely harsh consequences if you don't understand the intricacies of a DUI. The other question we get all the time is, do I really need an attorney? It's my first time, it's my second time. I understand I got to do some jail time, but do I really need an attorney to walk me through? Or even worse, that I get all the time is, hey, I've got a family friend who dabbles in the practice of law, or who's a family law attorney, or a wills and trust attorney, or a business attorney, said he can help me out here. That is a giant red flag. Not only are general attorneys who practice in some area of law, whether it's business, family, corporate, it doesn't matter. They are not in your court or dealing with criminal cases on a regular basis. It is very important to hire an attorney who focuses and builds a practice on DUI defense like us at the Marc Lopez law firm. Why? Well, that's easy. We are constantly in these courts dealing with these particular judges, the court staff, the prosecutors, all the people that are going to have a tremendous amount of control over your case. So do you want to go to a heart surgeon for open heart surgery and have a foot doctor have to operate on you? Of course not. Well, why would you take that when it comes to hiring an attorney? Hey, sure, I got a family law attorney who wants to do me a favor. It's only going to hurt you. Sure, you might pay a little bit less, but at the same time, the outcome is going to be tremendously different. So why would you want a toe doctor operating on your heart? Same thing when it comes to hiring an attorney. Why would you want somebody who doesn't practice in this particular area, especially with how intricate DUIs can be? A family law attorney is not going to understand how to pull download data from a breath machine to make sure it was calibrated correctly. Are they going to understand that a blood draw has to be done according to a proper protocol? That protocol has to be signed off by a doctor? So the odds of that are extremely, extremely slim. It's a terrible idea. So if you find yourself faced with a DUI, whether it's your first, second, third, so on and so forth, there's multiple ramifications that you could have. One, if it's beyond your first one, you're looking at statutory jail time and potentially harsher consequences, especially depending on the spacing of those DUIs. And two, you're looking at some pretty harsh license consequences. Are you going to lose your license for 90 days? Are you going to lose it for a year, 6 months, 2.5 years? Or even worse, if your driving history is pretty bad, in other words, you rack up leaving the scene of an accident, speeding tickets, driving while suspended, things of that nature, resisting law enforcement with a vehicle, all those stack up, and the BMV could come in and qualify you as a habitual traffic violator, which then causes significant ramifications in your license. If you're a habitual traffic violator, you're looking at either a 5-year or a 10-year driver's license suspension. Now, are you going to trust somebody who's not focused on that type of practice, a criminal practice related to DUIs, driver's license issues, to try to sort that out? What happens if you plead guilty right away and then all of a sudden BMV comes in, takes your license for 5 years, or even worse, 10 years? Now you're stuck trying to call another attorney to try to get them to undo or to try to fix your license situation. So it's always terrible practice. And I know everyone's got that family friend or a friend of a friend who's an attorney who practices in a different area. Please do not fall to the, hey, I'll do you a solid. Hey, I'm going to charge you less because you're a good friend of mine. That is a terrible idea, and you're making a giant misstep. If you find yourself charged with a DUI, you need to call the folks who do this on a regular basis. Give us a call, 317-632-3642, and remember, always plead the fifth.